best of 3 here. They aren't going to be moving on to the next round. We are into game 3. And Divine 9, with that being going to a best of 3 here, this is actually awesome because if Divine 9 keeps their draft the way that it is and they're working on the same page as a unit, here, Josheb, I do think they can easily take Mile High. That game was 13-0, but I don't feel like it was 13-0 because they were outplayed. It was just very much they didn't take team fights where they were moving as a unit.
I completely agree with you. I think that Divine 9 are the type of players that are probably going to be able to learn from those mistakes. I feel like there were a few times there that they just never had the opportunity. There was a lot of, I mean, we'll be direct about it. There was some overextension. They should have pulled back several times. I don't know if the team had a lack of communication when it came to saying, hey, they're missing in this lane, they're probably coming up to gank you right now, or if they were just like, I can get this last tower before I have to back off. But either way, it did result in some quick pickoffs. Mile High Club is going to follow a very similar strategy to the last draft. A lot of teams don't like fighting against Morales, as we learned last week, and that's going to be the first ban in this draft.
Absolutely, and then they're looking to counterban. Here we go. Divine 9 looking to get rid of that Tyrande.
That is a target ban.
Yeah, that is 100% a target ban.
Absolutely a target
They're
ban.
like, Neotepin, we aren't about that. We do not want to see you be working with that Tyrande again. And we'll see if teams are changing their prioritization of Rhaegar. I don't think unless they went back and watched the cast and were like, well, Dread really feels it, and they respect my opinion enough to adjust it. I don't feel like they're gonna. And I mean, I don't blame them. I suck at this video game. It's okay. So Mile High Club, what are they going to open with? Last game, they were looking to, excuse me, what was the draft? I forgot the last game's draft. Opening up with Kael'thas. It was Divine 9 with first pick last game, correct?
I believe so,
and they also went with Kael'thas.
I'd imagine we're going to see LOL I'm a Wizard on Kael'thas this time around, unless he completely blows our mind and decides to play the tank.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel if I saw him on anything but that Jaina. Let's be honest here. He was the reason his team was winning those early fights. Not a single Diablo Tyrande combo came out and just obliterated the world, right? It was him getting great flanks, great blizzards. That was why. So I think him on the mage is going to be something we see once more. And the Kael'thas is, I mean, I want to see his chain bombs, you know? Diablo coming out early in the draft here from Divine 9.
This appears to be just a complete flip-flop of the last draft. Like, almost all the way down to the
being banned, though.
Yeah.
So Tyrande being banned, what are they going to use as a response there? It looks like they're going to get the Doge. They went for the Doge.
Oh, man. You know, when your back is to the ropes and you're trying to figure out how you're going to win, the Raiden of, of Heroes of the Storm, one Rhaegar, master of all that is lightning, is a great way to start back onto that offensive.
All right, so what I'm going to be interested to see is if they end up deciding to go with that really crazy strat that I fought the other day in Hero League with the double suplex at 16. I'm going to say I doubt it, the double overpower, excuse me, but Kael'thas now going to be in the hands of Mile High Club. LOL, I'm a Wizard going to be on that, and most likely, and we're going to see what they move later in this draft. I think solo laners is what I'm really worried about, and the wave clear when it comes to this map, right? We always talk about the situation where it's going to be a 1-4 rotations when it comes to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Johanna, great wave clear for the 4-man rotation. Kael'thas also. What I want to see is a Zagara or a Thrall, somebody who is very good in that solo lane on the bottom half of the map.
Indeed, and it does look like they are going to pick up Johanna again. I think that might be the comfort pick for Mile High Club. As Johanna isn't someone that we typically see that much as a prioritized tank in the current meta, but they do pick her up again, and we're going to see Johanna on that side once more. In addition, we're going to see Zagara, who I still think is the strongest laner in the game currently. I think that there is no one that can bully like Zagara can.
Yeah, Zagara is just a phenomenal pickup for them right now. So they win essentially the bottom lane. And I guess not win it, but they definitely have a very convincing bottom lane. It's going to be interesting to see if Divine 9 ends up going with kind of like abusing that Rhaegar to see if maybe he's somebody they want to skirmish with his new changes with that Zagara in the lower half, or if they want him a part of the 4-man rotations, if that's even the strategy they want to go with here. So, but I think that Zagara pickup, no matter what, is a great solid pickup, Josh.
Unless Mile High Club bans out Thrall, I would bet dollars to donut we're going to see Thrall pick up from Divine 9. It's a pretty decent answer to Zagara, and we know it's already someone that their team enjoys playing. However, Divine 9 is going to ban out Uther here and try and limit the great healers that they can pick up on the Mile High Club. Based on the fact Mile High Club likes to play with a double front line, or at least that's what we saw in that first game, I would not at all be surprised to see them try and pick up a Karazim as their healer.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Divine 9 seems like a completely different team when it comes to the draft. This game from the last game. When it comes to just hero prioritization and decision making, they went from I don't know. I don't know. But just I'm surprised at how drastic of a shift we see, and I like it because obviously not walking away with a win in the last game, they need to make something happen here to come back and win this one. So they're all going to be a ban out. I like that, giving Zagara the strength in the lower half of the map for the Mile High Club. Really well done there. And then Jaina being hovered, I think that's great.
Ooh.
Not only does it provide kill potential, but it helps the wave clear. But I'm really worried about Divine Nine's bottom lane. Who are they going to look to get here when it comes to the bottom lane? Who are they going to send to deal with the Zagara? Are they going to look for like a weird kind of like Tassadar style, Thrall's off the page? Is Sonya somebody they're looking for? Is Sonya even an option to be able to deal with her at this point with the nerfs to her? So, but Raynor going to be locked in, even with the blind of JoJo. They say, we don't care. We're going to take that. He is weak in the rotations. He's not the best solo laner, so it's going to be they need to make sure they make up for that somewhere.
I do like the picks here. Raynor, as we've mentioned before, has great sustain, but also if he takes Giant Killer, he is a real threat to tanks. Even without it, he is, but especially with Giant Killer. Mile High Club having run a double tank previously, I think Divine Nine is saying, okay, we get your game plan. We're going to go ahead and preemptively counterpick somebody that can cause a lot of problems for your tanks, and I think that's where they picked up the Raynor. I'm sure that LOL I'm a Wizard is incensed by them stealing away Bay and grabbing Jaina. And I'm excited to see what kind of chain bombs we're going to see, the explosions of rage that are going to occur. Mile High Club hovering Artanis, who I would be extremely excited to see. I don't think we get to see him in enough competitive play. Someone get Trixler on the phone. His favorite character may be coming out for some game time.
There it is. Locked it in. I like it. They're running with that double tank again. So the wave clear wise, he does pretty well. I'm going to be interested to see if they decide to run a solo Artanis there. It's going to be one of those weird situations, and Sonya being hovered possibly for the solo lane for them. Divine Nine, they do struggle a little bit when it comes to the wave clear overall, especially pre-4. What I want to see from our Mile High Club, I guess I'm interested to see, is if they're going to run with a 4-man rotation and a Zagara solo bottom, or if they're going to be worried about running Artanis in the solo, Zagara in a solo, and a 3-man rotating squad, kind of that 2-1-2, but a little bit altered when they have 2 strong solo laners. It's not a common strategy, but it's also not a rare one. So Sonya going to be hovered here for Divine Nine. I don't know how I feel about that pickup. I don't know where I put her directly with the new changes overall, but they're thinking well and hard on this. Going to go down deep into the time pool here to figure out if that's what they want, what they're going to answer to that Zagara when it comes to their team comp. But I think the most interesting thing about this game is going to be how influential Rhaegar is going to be. Is it going to be enough to set them apart from their opponents here, Mile High Club, and be able to take this to game number 3?
And it does look like Sonya is going to be that final pickup for Divine Nine. Yeah, I had a chance to play Sonya since the patch, and while she did get some some nerfs to the focused assault, and she's not hitting as hard as she once was, I still think that she's well tuned. I didn't have any problems playing as her, and with the heals from Rhaegar being as strong as they are post-patch, along with, don't forget, as we mentioned earlier, the great synergy between Rhaegar and Sonya. She can't be body blocked when she's spinning to win, and if you throw the level 16 lightning talent onto her while she is hard engaging into their team, especially if this gets to 20 and she can throw up Hardened Shield with that and really stay in the fray, I think you could see a lot of damage coming out from her with the help of Rhaegar.
And the best part about Divine Nine comp, in my opinion, right now is that synergy between Jaina and Sonya, especially if we see an APOC out of Diablo, get a big slow on them, hit them with a good APOC, and then Sonya just go in and do her thing, the spin to win mixed with Rhaegar. We were talking about the synergy, the damage post 16. Raynor's going to be smashing everything that he can, and I definitely do like it. I do agree. I think Sonya is probably not going to be like a trash tier by any means, but it's just whether or not she's going to be able to be like, oh, you're slightly out of position, let me eliminate you from this world the way that she used to. And that might be a problem, right? It's not even whether or not she's viable as a hero, because that's not even the argument. It's more of, can the person understand her limits properly with the large adjustments that happen to her damage, right? I mean, where a situation where you go, oh, Kael'Thas overextended, Q auto, W auto, and he's dead, is a situation where he barely survives now. And if that's enough for you to lose the team fight, then it's going to be hard to adjust to. But I like the pickup mainly because of the Jaina. I personally love it because of the Jaina, but I want to see how how well she's going to end up doing when it comes to the laning decisions, because Divine Nine also showed a little bit of struggle when it came to laning as well last game. Keep in mind they were against a really good comp when it came to early aggression, so that was probably part of the reason. But we're going to move on to game number 2 here between Divine Nine and the Mile High Club here. Josheb.
We are absolutely, and as you mentioned before, this is Tomb of the Spider Queen. Last week when we saw teams manage to sneak Zagara past the ban phase, it created a lot of problems for their enemy. Zagara giving that all-important vision on the map that I think is the most important for vision. If you can keep constant eyesight up on those clutch turn-ins, you can make people's lives miserable. I personally have been on the other end of some great Zagara play, and it's so frustrating to be walking around with 60, 70 coins just completely unable to turn in, because every time you go to turn in, someone is there to stop you because they have vision. Depending on how well this Zagara is played, Divine Nine could have a really tough time getting those turn-ins.
Yeah, and Endless Creep's an option as well when it comes to just consuming the map there. Battle Momentum to being a typical go-to to provide better uptime to help your team fight phase, but also it's not to take away from the fact that Endless Creep is a more than viable talent here. I will be covering a little bit of the builds as I did last game, because I don't think we had time to actually update that UI. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But we are getting into it here. We do have on the right-hand side here, we're going to have the Mile High Club once again. We are going to have on the bottom lane, White Ice is going to be on the Zagara. We're going to have LOL, I'm a Wizard on the Kilthos, exactly as he should be. Thank you very much. Mr. Sad Panda is going to be on Artanis. Neot Tepin is going to be on Karazim. And Johanna is going to be played by Thienvio.
And over on the left side for Divine Nine, we have Plague on Sonya. We do have Owl on Jaina, Jason on Rhaegar, Greeper on Diablo, and in the bot lane, we have Waqft on Raynor.
And it looks like they're going to go toe-to-toe here with a 1-3-1. Both teams kind of not wanting to show in the mid lane. Interesting choice from these guys. I like it. It's almost as if they know each other, like right out the gate. It's not something you typically see. Nothing too crazy here at the level 1. Keep in mind, Wolf Run going to be picked up by the Rhaegar here at level 1. Not increased radius, which is going to take away from the value of Storm Rising. Not saying that it's not useful anymore. It just makes it far less damage. The radius decrease of, I believe, 30% there. Also, Warpaint going to be picked up by Sonya. And on Jaina, we go with a Frostbolt at level 1. So she's going to maybe be going kind of that K1 Pro Icy Veins Q-oriented poke build. I'm gonna help them with the with the delay on the tributes. But nobody going with a 1-4 rotation. Keeping 2v1 Raynor in the bottom lane against the Zagara. That is definitely going to be a very, very hard lane for him, Josheb.
It definitely is. I'm still kind of taken aback by Owl picking up that the K1 style. You don't see as much focus on the Frostbolt builds anymore. It certainly was popularized when the Korean meta was more popular and you had the double tanks, but here in the middle it does look like they are going to be able to get a fair amount of damage on that Johanna, but it's still too early in the game for them to pick her off.
Yeah, and you see on the bottom, the creep spread is going to be pretty much untouched by the Raynor here, and at the same time, Zagara is slowly pushing in, draining the ammo as best she can. If they do not help this Raynor, he is going to have a very bad time in this lane. And you see him trying to get a little bit of harass out, but honestly, it's just a very big lane mismatch. In the upper half, we have Artanis versus Sonya. Again, a little bit of a mismatch in favor of Sonya, I believe, but not by a large margin. But that is the easy lane for them to respond to here if you are Divine Nine. So both of these teams playing very safe. The turn-in is going to be the prioritization here between both. And it looks like they're slowly moving into a 1-4 as best they can. But that bottom mismatch, again, slowly going to be stacking against them. The Raynor player, Waqft, is now having to back here, and his front wall is drained. This is going to lead to some turrets, and nobody answers.
Definitely. I'd be interested to see if Zagara is going to pick up her regeneration talent, as she is being very aggressive with her basic ability. She's already at about a third mana, and she is not stopping. I definitely agree that she should be seizing this advantage while she knows Raynor isn't around, and she is continuing that creep spread. If she does pick up Endless Creep at 7, this map is going to be covered top to bottom by level 20.
Yeah, she's doing a really good job overall. Everything she's doing, just trying to be patient, trying to slowly siege up as best she can, get the creep spread wherever she can. Her team, though, everybody being a little bit passive when it comes to the turn-in, especially when it comes to Mile High Club here. They do have a lot of gems on their half, but they aren't going to be locking in a turn-in specifically with him. And then on the upper half, Jojo, they just aren't turning in, and that really is what kind of snowballs this map for the most part, especially if you have that Zagara. So if Mile High Club does manage to get that first turn-in, expect that they get a lot out of it, especially with bottom being drained.
You know, we see Owl, who was setting up there to try and get a gank on the Zagara, but as we pointed out, the creep spread is so good that she has plenty of time to back off and make it to the safety of her fort. She has done an excellent job of setting up that creep to make sure that she is not going to get ganked on, and she has vision on everything that's happening right now. She knows there are 3 people down at the bottom, and her team is rotating to help her out. This is going to be our first engagement, it looks like.
Yeah, this is going to be scary, and they're figuring it out. They're like, uh-oh, the police, boys. Good swap there. Going to come out. Gravity Lap's going to be the follow-up, and this might be a dead plague. The Q coming out. I don't know. The auto attacks aren't going to be enough. They do steal the camp, but smart choices there from Mile High Club. You saw for a moment they were thinking about rotating everybody down in that situation, but they end up staying and maintaining soak on other parts of the map, and really well done by them. Now, keep in mind, because this bottom lane mismatch, which is slowly being answered to, has pushed the ammo down to nothing. Essentially, these Giants have nothing to really get rid of them other than Sonya. They aren't going to defend them to keep them alive. I would have liked to see them escort those because of how much value they could get here. But Mile High Club definitely has a big advantage in this game. Turn-in's going to be 33 to 29. Whoever, like I said, gets that is going to really snowball this map in their advantage.
You know, that creep actually took a fair amount of beating there. It looks like they managed to get almost all of it down, and Zagara has started moving it up from the bottom lane into the clutch area to make sure her team does have vision. She is such a valuable target here. Plague is going to go ahead and Ancient Spear in. It looks like LOL I'm a Wizard is taking a fair amount of damage as well. Both teams just posturing for this bottom clutch.
Yeah, they're just trying to wait till their opponents make a big mismatch, but careful. Raynor there, really overextended, gonna be queued in there. Oh my goodness, the engagement coming down. Sonya taking a lot of damage, Josheb. Rhaegar barely walking away, and the swap comes in on the Diablo.
Diablo a little bit too far in here, and it looks like he is going to be the first casualty of this game. Sonya did manage to get out. Immediately, all attention is turned, and it looks like she's going to try and grab that last gem. She does manage to get it. She is now walking around with 9. Some great play here from the Mile High Club to change focus and get them down. Plague coming back in. I thought she might engage, but that would have been a poor engagement at a half health.
Yeah, what's happened with that tactical delay on that turn-in? I see you working. They end up getting that turn-in here. They're going to snowball the map into their favor. They do have a little bit of seeds left over, but a lot of it's going to come down to how smart they use these rotations. I like the idea of keeping Johanna and Zagara separated and the rest of the 3 push. Keep in mind, look at the bottom half of the map here, Josheb. No ammo at all. It's already pushed. Raynor has it back. This is going to be a lot of damage down here. As long as they aren't too risky on the other parts of the map, they're going to walk away with a very big lead here for Mile High Club. That Zagara pick just showing to be an absolute terror because of the lane mismatch.
Definitely. She has done so much work already that she's set up the bottom to have so much success. Here in the middle, it looks like that's where Divine 9 is going to put the majority of their defense. But in exchange, they're giving up this bottom. They may even be able to get a fort out of this on the bottom there with the help of that Zagara push. And it looks like Artanis is coming down to help her out. Although Divine 9 is coming around for the rotation, it is seen because of the endless creep of Zagara.
Yeah, she's doing a really good job there, and her talent ended up going endless creep, so she has an absurd amount of sight. Level advantage here. Smart choice here from Mile High Club. They see, okay, well, you Divine 9, you want to rotate all your people bottom to deal with my Zagara. Split push, guess what we're going to do? We're going to move in the upper half of the map. We're going to take your fort. If they get this, it will not be level 10, but it will be very, very close. Jaina trying to make something happen. You're really aggressive positioning by herself here, but now the race to 10 is heavily, heavily won by Mile High Club. As long as they manage to goaltend these turn-ins so they get enough gems themselves, they're going to be in a very good position. And keep in mind, they're only 8 away, Josheb. So goaltend for those 8 gems. All they need to do is goaltend for the 8 gems, get them, turn in, force the fight with their level 10 advantage, and they are going to be in such a winning position here. They end up backing out, taking the Knights, giving a free turn-in possibly here for their opponents. Definitely not maximizing on their level 10 advantage here, but again, not taking any risks either.
I really kind of personally would have liked to seen a more aggressive rotation from them to try and guard that, especially maybe escorting Zagara up to let her get some of that wonderful endless creep up in that top clutch as well. They have really good vision on that bottom, but if I'm Divine 9, I'm not going to try and turn in down there anymore when I know there's a visionless clutch just a few steps away.
Yeah, and they ran into a situation where they definitely didn't gain as much as they possibly could have, but their opponents also failed to get anything really out of their turn-in. So they're going to the upper half of the map to deny the 5-man rotation up here. As long as they take this before they get level 10, they can force this fight even with the Web Weaver. The bottom Web Weaver not getting max value.
Oh, the flank is coming in so hard. I feel like we're going to see, there it is, the Maw, and indeed, it does look like Rhaegar is going to be the first one down. No healer now for Divine 9. Good switch there onto Plague. Plague, fortunately, does have the ability to get away with her spin to win. However, the giant blind comes in from Artanis, and it looks like Diablo is not going to be able to get away after the Radiant Dash there of that Monk.
So they don't capitalize completely on their 10 advantage early, but they do end up waiting till they get the turn in and forcing it later, minimizing how much their opponents are going to get out of this turn in. Keep in mind, because that fight on the top half of the map, they lose almost an entire front wall on bottom, but honestly, it's going to be worth it. With the decision making to get the Knights, they got almost everything they possibly could out of that. And one thing to really keep in track of is then that team fight. Zagara, I really want to shout out to her positioning there. What she did, White Ice, is actually positioned once they knew they had the 10 advantage, rather than letting their opponents kind of walk away, she flanks from the back end, getting a one-man Maw. Yes, maybe not optimal, but she was the only person really on our team who took aggressive positioning that said, hey, we have the level 10 advantage and we're not going to let you walk away from this fight. So really good job with her, making her team able to capitalize and try and get a pick there. Rhaegar getting the caught out, and now they have the turn in here, and they're going to try and force, no longer having 10 advantage, but they are winning the race at 13.
And I think they should be able to hit 13 on the back of the Web Weavers right here. They've already gotten half the damage on this bottom fort. I do agree with the positioning here to come up and meet. I like trying to take out those mercs, making sure that the other team isn't going to get any counter push here, and they're quickly going to dispatch with that. Down at the bottom, great defense from Divine 9, choosing what I think is the right lane for the defense, since they have the most at stake with that bottom fort. But it does look like Mile High Club is going to push the center here in exchange.
If they do end up getting this, it won't get them 13 completely. The wave might be enough as well. If they do end up getting 13 in here, they're going to take this fight. They have a talent tier advantage. See, they're not going to risk all ending the fort here. It might be a risky decision, though. Bring of Frost coming out, hitting 2
roots, and it does look like great counter Maw there. The Apocalypse does come out as well. It looks like Sonya is out of her element here. She is taking a lot of damage. I'd like to see the ult come out a little bit sooner. No, and in fact, that is going to cost several lives here with Diablo going down again. That is a 3-for-nothing trade. Great counter Maw by the Zagara there.
Yeah, and a lot of that came down to Griefer, excuse me, had an absurdly powerful APOC opportunity at that time, but he ended up getting pulled in by the Johanna and not able to capitalize on his ultimate use there to get a really, I think it would have been a 4 to 5 man APOC, and ended up having to pop it a little bit too late from the Johanna condemn there. So really good job there from Johanna, the NVL, to lock in that Diablo, make sure he can't maximize on his ultimate, and now they have a 30 level advantage. They're sitting here, they have 13 tier over their opponents. They can force any fight. They're going to take the free fort and Giants on bottom. And when it comes to seeds, or gems, excuse me, as long as they maintain the lead over their opponents right now, it is Mile High Club's game to lose at this point. They have to make a very big mistake to lose this game.
You know, Divine 9, I like the idea here when they know the entire team is at bottom to go ahead and go for the boss. However, Zagara did get this great creep tumor right here in the top lane, which completely revealed their position. Regardless of that, I do think they're going to be able to get it anyway, and that is a great heads-up play from Divine 9 as a counter to what just happened. However, getting out, no, they are going to back off and let them have it. They choose not to take that engagement.
Yeah, they walk away afraid of that tornado and the split pushing there. That was honestly a great play, not only from decision making there from the team to try and all into the boss and getting away with it, because the Sonya Rain are really great damage against it there. Also, Jaina providing a little bit as well. But really what that did is it bought them time to get 13 so they can get a turn in while they're on the same talent tier, so they can take a fight. Divine 9 showing some signs of life here later in this game.
I am really impressed with the decision making of Divine 9 there. They knew exactly where they were. They were in a position with their back to the wall, and they said, if we don't do something extreme right now, then this game is going to be over. This map in particular can be very snowbally depending on how the initial levels go, and the Mile High Club was taking excellent advantage of that. The Divine 9 needed to do something to show those signs of life that you mentioned, and I think the boss was a great pick there.
Yeah, the problem is now they're letting the turn-in happen on top for free. There we go. And now what's going to happen, the situation they just put themselves in by not taking the fight before their opponents hit 16 here is now the web weavers are going to push in. They're going to provide a lot of damage and usually experience to get them level 16. Then they're going to have the 3-level disadvantage, a talent tier disadvantage, the third most powerful talent tier in the game, 16. Oh.
Done, quickly dispatched, and now it's going to be a 5v4 with the web weavers pushing again.
I mean, it just worsened the situation.
Yeah,
I mean, they're down to talent tier as well. This is honestly a worst case scenario because forcing the fight while you have the web weavers up maximizes the value that they have. So not only do you have such an easy fight to take when you have 16 tier advantage, but you also have every lane pressuring on the map, and it's a 4 versus 5. So expect a very hard engage here from Mile High Club whenever they get the opportunity, just going in as hard as they can. And Jason with a flank here, the 4-man 4 versus 5 flank.
I feel like this may be the opportunity that they have to take, or that they're choosing to take. It's very difficult. The APOC does come out. It looks like Raynor has taken a ton of damage. He does go down, and now it's a 4v4. It looks like there is a ton of damage coming out. Great use of the Ancestral Healing there to keep them up. The Maw comes out hitting no one. Plague taking a lot of damage. He is going to be soloed there by Kael'thas with that great use of Gravity Lapse, and now the Divine 9 is in a much worse situation. Super good use there of the Q from Artanis, and now Owl is left by themselves to defend. Diablo is going to be able to come out and help, but I think this could be the game.
Yeah, it definitely could be, depending on how long that web weaver lasts and the damage. Keep in mind, we have 2 seconds for Raynor to spawn. He has pretty good counter engage. They might actually end up committing too much here. They're stacking for the Blizzard. They're all grouped together, taking bonus damage from the core. This might be a risk. If Raynor actually decides to fight this fight, they might have an opportunity here. And this Raynor is very, very risky for both teams. He is belaying. There you go. They had no opportunity. They could have punished way harder there. Raynor kind of giving up maybe a little bit too early. But honestly, they have enough gems to turn in as well. This could be a swing of momentum here. As long as they try to get the turn in and push as hard as they can, Divine 9 might be able to walk away with a small win here. Maybe a keep.
I like Raynor's attitude. You know, never say die. Coming out with the woo, take that. Artanis showing some brevity there as well. Really liking the attitude from these two teams. You know, it's easy to get discouraged when you're 3 levels behind, but with the help of the core there, they do manage to get a little bit of a turnaround, and they whittled the 3-level lead down to 2.5.
Yep, and what they need to do with this downtime is try and get, or with the death timers, is they need to turn in. They need to capitalize on the fact that they have a small situation where they have a lead here. The turn in is absolutely crucial that they win, and now they have to wait till 16 because the spawn of Zagara there. They're going to back out. They're going to take the Knights here, and Divine 9, again, it's all going to come down to taking the level 16 fight, and it's going to be trying to concentrate on getting the turn in. The most crucial thing about this game is if Divine 9 gets a turn in, they absolutely must force on the top half of the map or a lane that's pushing the farthest, because if they turn in and don't walk away with the keep, they're going to be in a very different situation.
This is going to be a quick pick, and now it's 5v4 once more. Divine 9 has so much potential, Dread. They just keep doing the solo pushes or the solo turn-ins. It's costing them so much. They do manage to get the turn-in, but they're not going to get maximum push. That E from Artanis! Great Ancestral to keep himself up, but it was really just a waste of an ult because he's going to go down anyway.
Yeah, now they're sitting in a situation where you got the turn in, yes, who hit the 16th here, but with 2 people dead, you have no way to take advantage of the web weavers. That's 60 gems that are going to be essentially down the drain here for Divine 9. That was definitely their moment to come back into this game, and slowly those staggered deaths are showing as to why they might have been behind in the first place here. So we're going to see a quick clear here from Mile High Club. I do believe Mile High Club has enough gems to turn in once these go down, so they're just quick clearing top, quick clearing mid, make quick clear on bottom, and then look to turn in themselves and possibly end the game off that push.
I do want to point out the wonderful E-body switch there from Artanis in that last engagement.
Yeah, no,
I don't live anywhere near Irvine. In fact, I'm about 2,000 miles away, but in the distance, I think on the wind, I heard Trixler yell out, "Yay!" at the top of his lungs.
No, yeah, he was feeling that prison. I mean, it was really well done, honestly. They do have 52 gems here, so they are going to be able to confirm and turn in. It will be the team fight 16 into 19. Team fight Divine 9 can actually take here, but it looks like they're looking at the boss here. If they start this and the turn in happens for the Mile High Club, they're going to understand this Plague, realizing this is a problem. The bait.
Oh my gosh! My heart caught in my throat, Dread. I thought for sure that Sonya had brought the boss over for a party.
And this is the fight Divine 9 needs to force, honestly. This is before they hit level 20. This is one of the last fights they're going to get this game on an even footing.
You're 100% right. The E does miss. It looks like this is the engagement they need to take. Here comes the Hyperion that is going to zone for them. The APOC does come out. They do manage to solo Zagara. Now it's a 5v4. This is exactly the type of engagement that they need to take. They need to push the advantage top, as you mentioned earlier. This is their time to grasp victory. If they don't make a push right here, if they don't do something with this is a complete waste of an opportunity. But instead, they're going boss. And my goodness, they know exactly where they are.
This is them trying to capitalize. They need a big move to win this game right here, but they don't realize that this boss will absolutely obliterate them if Chain Golem comes into play here. Artana is forcing the engage, and there it goes. Raynor is going to be losing his life here. Diablo blowing everybody up as well. Divine Palm coming out, not going to proc anything, and Jason is probably going to lose his life here as well, and everybody is going to die.
He's going to go down. There goes Diablo, and that's
one of those situations where you gotta tip your hat to him though. Like, they're doing their best to try and make something happen in a game they were losing. Yes, that boss was probably a little bit too hypey, but I would have rather see them lose that boss fight right there and wipe than just sit back and let their opponents get 20 and then lose a 5 versus 5 later on. Honestly, I would have. Divine 9 at least trying to make something happen. Probably, I mean, quite obviously getting a little bit too desperate there, but they're doing something, Josheb, and that's a lot. That's something a lot of teams definitely struggle with here, especially with the newer teams just trying to fight. So, I mean, my hat's tip to them. Divine Nines at least is showing signs of life, even though they've definitely had a pretty rough start to the beginning and middle parts of this game.
Dread tipping his hat very seriously, taking his fedora off his desk. You guys can't see the camera right now. That is a wonderful fedora, by the way. I love the design on it. Is that a bird feather? But here comes Plague engaging on the boss. It looks like they are going to attempt to defend this keep. One last hurrah. Here we go. Fantastic ultimate coming out from Joanna here to hold him in place. The Ancestral does come out. Misclick onto Plague. Does not manage to save himself. And it looks like that is going to turn it into a 5v4. The boss bearing down on their core. Diablo caught out. Here comes the big ring. Diablo does go down. It looks like he does indeed. Plague trying to get one last damage out. Another E coming out from Mr. Sad Panda. Trixler screaming out in ecstasy as this core does manage to go down. And it looks like the boss is going to be able to finish this out with a little bit of disrespect coming out from them. Raynor, maybe, I was going to say, maybe able to finish one person off for their trouble.
He would have gotten another haha take that possible moment there at the very end there, but really well done. Excuse me, not THC, but Mile High Club is going to walk away with this game. And honestly, they deserved it. They took pretty much every fight that they had the advantage. They got a lot of good picks on their opponents when they're split. There was really, honestly, for the most part, they played a lot better than their opponents at times and pretty much never took a fight that they didn't have to. So really good job from them. Mile High Club definitely showing why they're going to be moving on, going 2-0 here in this set and moving on to the next round.
I really like the guts and the determination from Divine 9. I think that they need to make one adjustment to the way that they play, and they're going to see a gigantic spike in their win rate. They need to have a little more communication as far as when the rotations are coming so they can warn their teammates. And I understand, like, when Jaina got picked off there in the mid game, exactly what she was trying to do. They were behind 3 levels, and she was like, you know what, I'm going to split soak. I'm going to try and take this XP at the bottom, but she has to find a safer way to go about that. Her mind's in the right place. I just feel like Divine 9 made some miscalculations as far as what they could get away with in the split soak, and that in the end is what cost them the game. I think more team fights, the ability to stay together as 5 a little bit more may have benefited them, and I hope that we see this team again with that slight change to their game plan.
No, I agree with you. And like I said, I feel like even though they did kind of show signs of like weakness at certain points in their comps, not being together, working as a team and everything else, I think, like I said, the most impressive thing for me out of Divine 9 was hands down the fact that they were willing to try and take that boss fight. Obviously, maybe not executed perfectly, but they were not willing to just sit back and lose the game because if they kept doing what they were doing, it wasn't going to work out. They were going to walk away losing the 20. So, and that's a sign that even honestly mid to top tier teams have a hard time understanding where they will not take that advantage where they absolutely need to in situations like that. So again, big shout out to Divine 9 for doing that. They're going to move on. My High Club is going to move on to the next round where they're going to face Resurgence, Josheb, which we actually, I believe, watched last week. Done really well in the Divergent Gaming Amateur Tournament. defense when they show up there, and definitely a force to be reckoned with here. It's going to be really hard with Mile High Club. They're going to have to be at the top of their game if they're going to be able to take out Resurgence.
You're 100% right. If anyone was watching, whoever was watching last week knows that Resurgence is a team to be reckoned with. Mile High Club put on an excellent display, especially, again, just to point out the wonderful play of LOL I'm a Wizard with that memorable name. They're going to get a lot of shout-outs in this cast, but Resurgence, you know, they're a team that that does really well. They understand, they breathe, they live by the meta. And I think that the adjustment Mile High Club is going to have to make is they're going to have to ban out Rhaegar. I definitely see Resurgence as being one of those teams that is going to first pick Rhaegar if you let him get past the first stage.
I agree. I think that they very much understand the strength of the Doge and that they are going to capitalize on it whenever they can. Resurgence, with a lot of former names and shown success in the past as well. They definitely understand meta shifts and will capitalize on it whenever they can.
They certainly will. I think we're going to take a break here shortly as we prepare for the next game. We're going to go ahead and get that observer bug knocked out so that we're not just living by Dread's excellent commentary on the talents, by the way.
Yeah.
Fantastic job of, that's right, fantastic job of keeping everybody up to date with the talents that were chosen. I'm going to do my best to make sure you don't have to do that next game, though, as we'd love to hear your commentary about everything.
Oh, yeah. All right. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Also, I do not have a fedora, and we'll see you guys in the next round.
Don't be embarrassed about it. We'll see if we can get him to bring it out for the next game. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll be back shortly.